Well, here we are. We got episode 107. We appreciate Ryan Baty coming in today. But a quick shout out to all of our mentions. Whiskey Dicks, we love you. We'll be there tomorrow. 420 Below, we love you too, guys. Over there at Rusty Nail, R&J's,
Sacred Leaf,
Diaper Jam, and the Damn Jam's back. So we're getting tickets coming for that real soon. We'll give our giveaways from that, and we'll get into a little bit of that in this.
I bet you want to talk about Damn Jam.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I mean, I got a lot of the people that we work with want to know a little bit about it too. I was like, well, I know Ryan. I'll see what he has to say. That's why we were going to do the show, really. And new sponsor that just came on this month, Mopigs Collectibles. They got art by Stephanie Nash there as well too. So get over there off of West Street at the old Game Exchange.
Really cool shop. Man.
Yeah, really cool place.
Vintage
toys, everything under
all the stuff you grew up with.
Yeah, if you're the Pokemon card nerd, they got all that stuff for you. They got everything over there in that kind of cool genre stuff. So anyway, 107. Appreciate you coming in. I'm glad you can make time for us. I know you're a busy man. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are. Your camera's right here, by the way.
Okay.
So,
well, first of all, congrats on 107. I think that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
that's a lot of episodes.
A little over 2 years, man.
Yeah, long form journalism is important for this community and bringing people in and having conversations. So, congrats. That's big.
Yeah,
so,
thanks.
So, I'm Ryan Baty, County Commissioner, Chairman of the County Commission this year. I'm in my. I've been in there for 15 months. The list item. This wasn't what I thought I'd do, and I've been involved mostly in played baseball. That's where you and I originally met, and I did that for a living for a bit. Got hurt, retired, and went into business, and got a couple different companies, mostly known for the Mattress Hub and the work we did. Opened up 27 stores across 3 states, and great company, man, great people. It's been wonderful to us and my family, and still have Mattress Hub to this day. Did ministry for a number of years, pastoral ministry for 12 years, and a lot of nonprofit work, mostly in the foster care community, and then now beautiful. This, man. So here we are.
Yeah, I do another podcast actually with my friend Orphan John, who is a lead singer in my band, and he was a foster kid for a really long time. And then I've adopted my son through the foster system.
Man,
here,
I'll tell you that one issue has really moved my heart.
It's a huge one, man.
There's 1,300 kids in the foster care community in Sedgwick County. Yep. We only have 620 homes. So a lot of these kids are being placed in other parts of the state. We're breaking up sibling groups.
Yep.
That's a big one that he was trying to help.
Brother, that's what
happened to us.
Yeah. But as a community, we look at this and it's like, man, these are vulnerable kids and families. We got to keep kids from entering the foster care system to begin with and be more preventative. Yeah. But while they're in the system, we got to do a better job. 70% of these kids will end up in the criminal justice system. Only 40% will graduate high school. We're failing these kids.
The aged out foster youth, the numbers on that are just
awful.
Incredible.
1 out of 4 is going to end up homeless.
Yep.
It's crazy, man.
And then they're looking forward to jail at that point when they don't have nowhere to turn.
Well, that's a system they can count on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Well, they get shelter, they get a square meal, 3 of them a day. But here's some data I just came across. In my job now, I get a lot of data. I'm able to analyze data. And a kid that is homeless in USD 259, so Wichita Public Schools.
McKinley Vento.
Yeah. A kid that's homeless, and there's about 1,100 homeless kids in Wichita Public Schools. Most people don't know that, right?
Wow.
So
under the age of 18, that many.
Wow. A kid that is homeless in USD 259 has a higher graduation success rate than a kid in foster care.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
So that just tells you about the failure of the foster care system.
That's great.
It tells you that kids in trauma, in homelessness, it's trauma, but they're with their family, right? Typically when they're homeless.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them probably living out of cars and stuff like that.
Or couch surfing or things of that sort. Mm-hmm. But kids that are in foster care, they're being displaced from their home. So what that data tells me that we inflict more trauma on a kid, removing them from their family groups, removing them from their home, than even a kid that is homeless, but he's with his family. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that's an eye opener too.
So thank you for what you do for those.
So like every disruption, now these are numbers that I've heard, but every disruption sets that kid back developmentally about a year.
It's significant, man.
Because you can't just pop out of this school and go into this school and expect any other thing to be the same.
Well, and you get new parents.
You catch on, you're still behind.
That's right.
Yeah, you get new parents, new terminology, new rules, new everything. I mean, that's a shock to the kid's system every time.
Let's just practically think about being 6 years old, woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning from someone you don't know.
Yeah.
And removed from the only home you know, and then even if it's a broken home, it's still your home and still your family.
Yeah.
And then taken to another home with people you don't know, and then that process continues to go different home. I had a guy in my office. I'm helping with a documentary on the foster care to prison pipeline. About 60% of the people in our corrections facilities have a touch point in the foster care somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
In the foster care system. And he did 104 placements. He had just got out of the penitentiary, been there 7 years.
Wow.
Did 104 placements. And I said, dude, what's that? Like, tell me why. And he said, man, he goes, I got in the system when I was 4. He goes, my mom was a drug addict. He goes, I just wanted to go back home. I knew she was a mess, but that was my mom. I wanted to go home. So every placement I was in,
he's trying to act
he
it
sabotaged.
out,
He
and it's like,
sabotaged.
can you imagine the trauma, man, for these kids?
Can you imagine the work that kid put in? I mean, people don't even want to think about how much work and time that is that for that kid to act out. Like him putting in the work to get in trouble and having to deal with getting bitched at just so he can try to get back to his mom.
It's heartbreaking, man. And that's one of the reasons why I got involved in public service is because of things like that. It's like we've got to be more preventative and get upstream and head these issues off before they become issues. And so that was just and foster care, frankly, is a state issue. It's not even a local issue. Right. But we deal with it on the local level. We deal with the aftermath of broken families and broken children. So that was one of the reasons I got involved.
So what is there to do on the local level that we can help with other than, I mean, what explain to that's controlled by the state? Explain to our
so state, the management of the foster care system is through Department of Children and Families, DCF. That's a state organization, state funding, state managed, all of it. On the local level, what can we do? Well, we need more homes, but not everybody's called to foster. And I understand that.
And education plays a part in there too.
Significant.
If you know, if you're an educated family about it, like if you're going through TBRI training, if you're going through parent classes, if you're
this is something he did all this stuff.
I've done it all.
He's a bad motherfucker.
Yes.
He
but
really is.
If you can educate your family, then you can make educated decisions on taking kids into your home.
Come on, man.
And we can make change. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, so what can you do on the local level? Well, if you can foster, we need more homes. If you're not called to that, then support foster families. Give them help. Give them resources. Become TBRI trained. TBRI stands for Trust-Based Relational Intervention. I have a nonprofit where we train people to become TBRI trained. How do you deal with kids in crisis? It's different than the physiologically, the children's brain will develop differently when they're in trauma, and you've got to be able to deal with that in crisis. So, man, thank you for what you're doing, man. That's just one part in a big puzzle.
He wouldn't be a bad guest for your.
I'm already putting this together. I'm already putting that show together.
Orphan John for your Orphan John podcast.
No, it used to be Love and Logic. That was the parenting model for a really long time.
Well, and nature and nurture too. It was all just guesswork. I mean, it's
in 2015, Karen Purvis figured out TBRI.
That's right.
And really
made it Texas.
Really made it happen, man. And,
come on, I love it, man.
It's a great system. I recommend anybody.
Well, and he's doing a lot of work. He adopted a foster kid too finally, and they were trying to move into more foster care, and then it was when you're trying to introduce other foster kids to other foster kids, I didn't even realize the struggle that I didn't even think about that. Yeah, when you have one kid with trauma meeting another kid with trauma, trying to live in a house where everybody's trying to get along, there's a lot there.
Our son's kind of actualized. He's been with us about 3 years now. His adoption's final. Okay, so we got an emergency placement to where he's just coming out of like the parents may or may not relinquish rights, and we don't know yet. We were the first home he stayed outside of his family, and so he was doing what you're talking about, acting out, trying to go back to his family.
And he was unfortunately a kid that still had no he wasn't told what was going to happen to him really yet. He wasn't sure if he was going back to his mom yet or not. So there's a lot of
just practically. I mean, imagine being a 10-year-old kid and having just the core foundation. Families look different. They act different. Not every family's healthy. Most families aren't healthy.
But
it's your family.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all got lucky in families in our own way, shape, or form.
We all put the fun and dysfunction different ways.
Come on,
But it is, again, like you said, a big part of it. That statistic really hit me. Like, it is still your family, whether it's that mess, you still probably will thrive more in an environment where you're understood and you're relatable to the people that you're biologically related to.
So when we talk about resources, we spend a lot of resources while the children are in crisis in foster care, and that's necessary. But what if we redirected some of these resources to preventing kids from going into the system altogether by actually helping families that are in vulnerable crisis?
Let's
stop it there.
Yeah, let's build the families up.
Because most families
because now we don't need a home.
That's right. Most children are coming into placement because of substance use issues or because of what we deem as neglect, which sometimes is culturally sensitive. But the substance use issues, man, we've got to have more treatment options. We've got to have more capacity, particularly in the opioid addiction. There's no medical detox availability for people that have no insurance in this community. Like, we could do better.
Yeah, you're right.
Better,
so. Well, I'm glad you're thinking on those lines, man, because we need people like you thinking about that kind of shit.
For sure.
So what bridged you over to, okay, I'm going to try to be a county commissioner? Where did that come into? Because what you said, you've been in office now 15 months.
15 months, yeah.
15 months. So where the I'm going to run for county commissioner come from?
there's a long story to it.
Because you're our second county commissioner on. We've had Lacey
Cruz
was on. Lacey Cruz was on.
Lacey and I, we talk rather frequently still, and I ran against Lacey, and that was unique. That was part of the situation that we were experiencing. I ran for two reasons. One, I saw a lot of opportunity in the community from an economic standpoint, from a social system standpoint. But I also ran because I had a lot of frustration in the community too. Yeah. I witnessed city and county, absolute zero collaboration happening.
Yeah, the synergy in this town sometimes is dog shit.
Oh man.
I worked for the city of Wichita for 15 years. I know a lot about paying budgets to your same budget of the people that work for you still. It's the weirdest shit you ever seen. If I needed something from another department to come out and fix something on the city, you got to pay their budget.
It's wild.
I like municipal systems, but it gets to be a little bit of, it's better than paying private in my opinion. But
I'll tell you, a lot of it was frustration of seeing how these things were really stagnating progress in my district, but also in the community. I'm kind of a political hybrid, man. I don't have a nice fit politically.
Me either, man. It's all, and that's same. The politicians you want. It's basically issue by issue what we are. I'm not going to declare what I am, because there's thousands of issues that I fall on all sides of.
Yeah, well, I'm relatively libertarian, particularly on federal level, state level. I call myself a localist. I care about local issues, this locality.
Well, that's what we have to care about, because I mean, voting on the president, it's like, pissing in the wind a lot of times. Yeah. I mean, we got to worry about what's going on in our community.
That's right, man. We got to contend for this place and this community. But I ran against Lacey, and it wasn't an issue of personal. I didn't like Lacey. In fact, a lot of people, and I get a lot of slack from people, is that Lacey and I are very cordial. We're very friendly. We've had coffee many times. I seek her advice on a lot of things. She cares deeply about issues that I care about: homeless population, housing situations.
Yeah, and she's got a good objective perspective. So it's worth getting her advice.
And she's been there
and
recently.
Her perspective matters, and she's a constituent of mine.
Yeah.
So I care deeply about those things. She was uber helpful for me in that transition. So for me, it was mostly, there was some frustration, but I also saw some opportunity and felt like I can move the needle.
Nice. Well, I mean, it takes people that are willing to put in a lot of time, because I know that's a lot of time, and you got a family and you got a lot of shit going on, but I mean, it's a lot to start dealing with this community. Yeah. So here we are. Let's circle to the thing why we wanted to get you in here. I wanted to see explain to us how we lost the damn jam at Lake Afton.
Let me get a drink.
Yeah. and for everybody that's here, he's just drinking Red Bull, sugar-free Red Bull.
So that was an interesting conversation.
And first question before we go to this year, since you've been in for 15 months, you were involved in signing the permit for last year, or no?
I wasn't. No, that was before me.
Okay,
the
so
contract was negotiated the year before I got there, and so I actually was relatively surprised at how the vote played out. Now, I'm the chairman of the commission, so I vote last. So I literally walked into that conversation thinking we'll probably get, I kind of knew where a couple of my colleagues stood, but I thought we'd get a 3-2.
First of all, how many of you are there?
Five.
And majority wins?
Three votes, right?
Three votes is a win.
Now, heading into this conversation with Diaper Jam, CJ, and she's great. She and I worked together quite a bit.
Yeah, we love her.
And had a lot of conversations.
Big in that nonprofit world as well.
Big. And if you need some shit done,
she gets it done.
That is a get some shit done woman.
She gets it done, but I also was very aware of a Emerge sober living community. I'm pretty involved in the sober living community and transitional housing and places like that. And Emerge is very much a part of.
Yeah, they got a lot going on with their nonprofit as well.
They're great.
Yeah, they really are.
So going into this conversation, as we're trying to figure out a couple of things, the primary conversation was the public safety piece, and this is where a lot of the confusion was in the market. It wasn't public safety at Lake Afton. The sheriff said, no, we can manage that. And Diaper Jam had their own security and all that. Yeah. Had nothing to do with fire. Fire said, if someone drowns, we'll be closed. EMS says, no, we can have ambulance there. But when you're getting 5, 7, 9,000 people, what the sheriff came to us repeatedly and said was, and EMS in particular, we can secure that site, but we need you to be aware that in order to secure 9,000 people at a lake where there's drinking happening, it will pull from resources from the rest of the community. Lake Afton is 25 miles away from the core of downtown Wichita. And the EMS director, Kevin Landerman, said, hey, listen, what it's going to take to secure, because this is public property. It's not private property. Lake Afton
is public, yeah.
So
exactly.
There's incredible liability. We have to make sure we have the ratio of paramedics there, sheriff deputy there, firefighters there. And we're in a staffing crisis in Sedgwick County in public safety.
Oh, yeah.
And the EMS director said, we can do it. Your call, it's a policy decision, but you need to know we will have 5 less ambulances in the city of Wichita. Now, mind you, They're doing 175 calls a day on ambulance and paramedics. And response times, it's been a challenge. When I took this job, they were down, they had lost a third of their paramedics. The average response time nationally for EMS is about 8 minutes, 4 to 8 minutes. In some parts of Sedgwick County, they were averaging 25 minutes for a response time. Now, you may say, well, is that a big deal? Well,
yeah, fuck yeah, it's a big deal.
Well, think about a car accident or a child choking.
Anything,
drowning.
anything. When you're sitting there at your house waiting for EMS to show up, 1 minute is a big deal.
It's life or death.
It really is.
So when the EMS director says, we can do it on site, but it will deplete the resources of the rest of the community. Everybody from the county commission and the staff side said, okay, time out. We got to think through this. Like, how responsible is it to deplete resources from the rest of the community that's dependent on life-saving resources? So I actually thought we had the 3 votes to get it. And I'm a fan. I think most people know, and I think you and I talk, I'm a fan of Diaper Jam. I'm a fan of.
Well, you should be a fan of anything trying to help our Wichita community for sure. And you live here, so I'm sure.
Yeah, this is.
But my problem is how come that wasn't an issue the year before?
Great question. I wasn't there the year before.
So I mean, we're expecting 10,000 people the year before, and if it wasn't for weather and a few other hiccups, they probably got 6,000 to 7,000 people. Right. So like, I don't know why 1 year to the next it became such an issue.
I think it was an issue. I think because the year before that it was in Butler County, I believe.
It took a break, I think, but when it was the Dam Festival or the Dam Jam, it was something called.
But that's also El Dorado. That's a different deal.
And it was a different set of people. Even the CJ was a little bit involved, and it was a different.
But it was a different organization. Yeah. But I think what it was they learned a lot in that last year, and they learned about the depletion of some of the resources. So that was the apprehension. I was like, okay, we need to really think through this. Now, while this is happening, and we're telling their group, and CJ in particular, we're telling them, hey, listen, this is some of the. Can you formulate a plan that will appease the sheriff and appease the EMS director? And the original vote went 5-0. We're gonna say no to this. Now, I was the 5th vote. And immediately called CJ and said, let's keep working on it. This isn't done. Let's keep.
Yeah, from what I heard exactly after the vote was, it's like, we got lawyers talking, everything's talking. We're working on shit.
We immediately got to work about, hey, how can we make this right?
Well, I mean, I hate to see Lake Afton lose it. Like, I hate to see. There's not like something going to move right into Lake Afton. Lake Afton's pretty much, not a whole lot going on there.
That team came in and like built infrastructure.
They had to build power, and they upgraded systems there. And
it was a legit conversation and a legit opportunity. And we also knew the city of Goddard had stepped up and said, hey, this is big for our economic.
Are they the same county?
Same county. Yep.
So how are we able to move it right down the street in the same county and avoid your county commission vote?
About 50. Well, it's in the city of Goddard, so they don't have to come to Sedgwick County government. So Lake Afton.
See, that's why I needed to hear the loophole. Say that again. Say what? Because I had a lot of people. This is the question that I've had other people ask me. He's like, how the fuck do they move it into the same county?
City of Goddard jurisdiction.
That's right.
Okay.
They have home rules, so they can make a decision on what happens in there, and
so they don't have to come to you guys.
Doesn't have to come to county. Lake Afton is a Sedgwick County property. It's an unincorporated.
Yeah, public property
outside of city limits.
I mean, I get that, but I mean, I was like, they're moving it into the same county. I was like, how are they avoiding a county vote?
So, but we also had that conversation right after that. But we knew that the city of Goddard says, if you're not going to do it at Lake Afton, we want it in Goddard. We'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, you can't. That concert was going to happen.
We knew all
the Dam Jam's finna happen.
Dam Jam was going to happen. The question was, could we do it at Lake Afton and not deplete the public safety resources for the rest of the community? Could we make that happen?
Well, and I heard there was also maybe another option of maybe moving it more centrally located into the city.
Yeah, and that was a conversation I had. Could we go to O.J. Watson Park? They wanted it
or
on the
McAdams.
Water.
McAdams is fucking huge.
There was even another conversation, honestly, about, hey, the challenge is depleting resources from the central part of Sedgwick County. What if we went to Sedgwick County Park? Around the lake?
That'd be great for me.
That'd be huge, yeah.
I live right there down the street.
But the point is it had nothing to do with an artist. Now, one commissioner.
Well, let's be honest. One commissioner, say his name. I'll let you say
David Dennis.
I won't let you say it. I can't never remember it. We won't make him put his colleague on the spot.
Not a big fan.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's his last year in office, so
it's true. Last year, David's a good guy.
I'm sure he is at a level, but he is stifling progress sometimes in Wichita.
We all act out of a place that we deem appropriate. None of us are just.
And he's a product of his environment and his upbringing.
Old military guy. He was a colonel in the Air Force.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we probably owe the guy, a bunch of shit to our freedom. But like when it comes to concerts, maybe he's not the guy we want to talk to.
Well, and this is what I'm going to say about that. Okay, just overall in general, this is my problem with like government and like you say, municipal systems. Okay, is that we built an infrastructure, a very old system for a very old society and an older culture that is now changing rapidly with technology, with people. Like all of that's changing really fast, and we are outgrowing these systems that we have set in place from forever.
Oh, shit, we're outgrowing. I mean? We're outgrowing the shit we were teaching kids when I was in school.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So when I see the old blue hair people on council seats, it just annoys me because
we got to vote. We got to vote better in this town. Then
they're fighting for these old world systems and old world solutions that just aren't even applicable.
And I'll tell you, it's very, there's a practical way to have that conversation, and that is that it's time for a generation of leadership to step in that, and it's not an issue of being connected or disconnected. It's an issue of envisioning a system that they will be there for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I'm talking frequently right now about the rising cost of government. And it's all levels of government.
Shit, the rising cost of everything.
Everything.
Look at your property tax bill. I mean, this is significant.
Yeah, it is.
And it's from the county side, we have 46 departments. I'll tell you, when I took the job, ComCare, we're in a behavioral health crisis in this community, significant.
Oh, I'm sure.
ComCare is down 200 full-time employees. The starting wage of a county firefighter was $14.60. We had lost a third of our EMS paramedics. So response times were horrifying. The sheriff was down 112 deputies. They were combining pods in the jail and monitoring via video because they didn't have enough deputies.
Yeah, we're cutting costs at every fucking place we could.
We didn't have the staff, right?
Yeah.
And so we had to do compensation adjustments.
And a lot of debt. Do you blame on COVID, coming out of COVID, or is
some of it was that? But
some of it is just not.
A big part of staffing stability is compensation. It's part of the equation. And the county just lagged. It lagged dramatically. I mean, I was paying people to deliver mattresses in my warehouses more than county firefighters were.
Yeah, exactly.
It's inappropriate, man. It's just not
somebody that starts working at a municipal system for a utility should be making
and
more.
You know this.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, because
I cleaned sewers for 15 years in this damn town.
But the challenge is when you, particularly 50% of what we do at Sedgwick County is public safety, 911, EMS, fire, sheriff. I mean, the forensic science. And if we don't have staffing stability in public safety, people's lives legitimately are in danger. One of the reasons I ran was to get staffing stability, but because of that, it comes at a big cost. So you
got to raise taxes so we can pay for
cost of
them.
Government's increasing, but it's not increasing because of frivolous spending. It's because of compensation adjustments. We have put in over the last 2.5 years. So this happened a year before I got there, over $40 million incremental in staffing adjustment compensation.
Wow.
But because of that, cost of government's increasing. But on the flip side of that, I don't think this community can handle any more property tax increases, man. I really don't.
No.
I don't think so. So this is
it's already been. I mean, it's really put people are. I mean, we're getting back into the live with your family model. There are people cannot afford homes
they
right
can't
now.
do it. There, man. The cost of living.
You're looking at $1,000 for rent all over the city, no matter where you go.
If you find anything less than 1,000, you've done something. It doesn't exist in this community.
No, it doesn't.
So you're paying more for gas, groceries, housing. Your property taxes are going up.
Daycare, all that shit.
Everything is, but your wages have not kept pace. So the squeeze is on.
Yeah.
So what I've been saying, back to your point about we've got to modernize things, is I just told you there's nothing left to cut at Sedgwick County government.
No,
nothing left to cut.
No.
We can just pass on, grab a little of the assessed value growth on your property appraisals and pass on some nominal increases, pat you on the back. Say,
we can raise water rates a little bit.
Do the best we can.
You raise water rates and sewer rates a little bit because you can make some money off that.
There's a third option, brother. There's a third option, and that's reform, man. We got to reform. We can modernize local government. If I had a list of a whiteboard right here of all the things Sedgwick County government does, and then the 20 cities and the things they do, you're going to see redundancies all over that. And it's like, my God, why don't we share more services with our 20 cities? Why don't we?
We need to you can bring that together as a conglomerate and look at it and make sure we're doubling up the money over and over again.
We've talked about Lake Afton. Is it the purview and the core function of county government to do parks and recs? Is that what you want your county government doing?
When we have a parks and rec department
at the city of Wichita?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. It was better when the city ran it.
I've been saying all along that that's not core functionality of county government. So anything, I live by a golden rule. This is the libertarian blood coming out of me. Is anything that's not core service for county government, anything, parks, recs, arts, animal control, environmental resources, all of this, I'm looking to share services, functionally consolidate with Wichita or other cities, or privatize it. I'll even go as far. Now, listen, this is where I get in trouble on podcasts. We have the Sedgwick County Zoo. Okay, the Sedgwick County Zoo has an incredible economic output for this community. It's one of the largest tourist attractions in the state of Kansas.
One of the only.
Brother, it's bad.
It's one of the only tourist attractions we have in this whole
we
fucking
got
town.
5 elephants that are pregnant right now. That's a big deal, right?
Well, we got an elephant in that motherfucker who's getting down.
His name's Titan, brother.
Yeah, I know. I've heard about it. I go to we have a membership there. We go there.
We love it.
I live right down the
It's
street.
huge.
So,
Now, but let me just say, Sedgwick County government subsidizes the zoo for $9 million a year, property tax dollars.
Wow.
Is that something that Sedgwick County government should? That's a city of Wichita. It is core service to do parks and recs.
and it's in the middle of the city. They get some shit. They get away with some money there because they're not
parks,
because they're
arts,
part of the county.
Core service of city government. It's not core service of county. We have the zoo, expiration place, enormous impact to this community. We subsidize it $2.2 million a year, property tax dollars. So I'm going to say, at the very least, it shouldn't be property tax dollars. It should be sales tax dollars, where 30% of the people that are utilizing those services are outside of our community and contributing to funding it. Get it off property tax dollars. That'll reduce the property tax burden, share services, functionally consolidate areas, modernize local government. Like, we can do this, man.
And some of that shit needs to pay their share, like you said. I mean, really, they're getting away with a little bit of the. I mean,
I get really tired of. Well, that's the way we always did it.
Can't, man. We can't do it.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, that's what.
That's why we do it.
They should, and what's sad is when we finally make a little bit of change, you're like, okay, that monumental incremental change is like nothing. It's like, no, we have to keep changing. It's keep moving forward, keep with new ideas.
This is what happens: is we have ideas, and this is not a nominal idea. This is not a new idea. Functional consolidations and shared services. But what happens is it's really hard, and we always stop it hard. We get going, we do some studies, we have some consultants, and then we get working on it, and it's hard. We're going to stop, and we just pass the buck. And I'm just saying, man, I'm not going to stop it hard.
No.
Like, let's just push through.
It was hard to build these systems in the first place.
Well, everything
rebuild them.
Everything we're doing, it gets to a point where it's fucking annoying. And you either quit at that point or you push through and make it worth doing. And that's the athlete in us, because we get to that spot where so I got now you get to a spot where now the curveballs are a little different and the fastballs are 5 mile an hour.
You have to adjust.
You have to adjust or fucking go home. And I'm not the go home type of dude.
No. So we're looking. We had an en banc with the city of Wichita 2 weeks ago to have a conversation with Parks, Rec, and Art, functional consolidation, county department, city department. I want to look at animal control. I want to look at environmental resources. The golden goose for me is fire. Wichita Fire Department's the largest fire department in the state. Sedgwick County Fire, which is for the most part almost everything outside, with the exception of Derby, outside of Wichita and Sedgwick County, is the 4th largest fire department in the state of Kansas. And we could, city of Wichita saying we need 6 more stations and 100 new
bullshit,
100 new firefighters. And I'm saying we
have a station everywhere in this fucking town.
We have 13 stations and 150 firefighters. Let's consolidate this department, create a new fire district. We'll lower the cost. We'll serve people better. We'll have better coverage. It just makes sense, but it's hard.
I've cleaned out.
We've always done
I as a job cleaned out the basins in the fire department in the fire locations every year when they got full, because I ran a vac truck so they clean their trucks and their pits get full. There are plenty of fucking fire stations in this town, and they're in great spots. Whoever built them put them in a lot of great spots around this town. It's just that we're not working under a consolidated market is the problem. I mean, when we used to do that, we sent it out to the whole entire thing, and half the dudes didn't even know he was coming. They're not really, it's not as synergy as what it should be. It seems like.
I have a litmus test on these functional consolidations is if we can share services and create more efficiencies for the taxpayer. So if you're the customer, the taxpayer, if we can make it more efficient and better use for you, I cross it off. If we can save money, I cross it off. On the fire conversation, both of those boxes check. It's hard, but it's worth the conversation, and the community deserves that kind of conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, fire department and police department's not hard to get people behind usually. I mean, I ain't trying to.
Those are our first responders, man. That's the link.
Yeah, ambulances and all that stuff. I mean, all the first responders, and shout out to all of them. Thank you for everything you do. But like all those things, I mean, are easy to get things done with. I mean, that's always the biggest part. So how often do you guys get to vote on? So do you guys get to vote on like every concert that comes into town, or just big festivals like this? Like, what is it?
Hey, man, my boy,
no, because Wheeler Walker has played already.
Has he?
Wheeler Walker has played in Wichita before.
Has he?
Yeah.
People were hitting me up about it. And listen, man, I didn't even know who it was. Like,
Okay, so it's most people, and I can see why an old fogey or even somebody that doesn't know doesn't like fucking get it, because it's a fucking joke. The guy was a goddamn comedian and a singer, and he's like, it's just like Larry Cable Guy. If you ever saw Larry the Cable Guy before he got famous as Larry the Cable Guy, he did a bit as Larry the Cable Guy and did multiple other bits. And then Larry the Cable Guy hit, so now he's Larry the Cable Guy all the time now. And now that's his bit.
And that's kind of what happened with Wheeler Walker.
It's 100% what happened.
Because he was trying to make it in Nashville as a singer, as a songwriter.
And he hit.
And
he made
had
a goofy song.
And it didn't work. And so he started doing the comedy thing.
And that was it.
And it's blown up.
That's
man.
the MO.
It's huge.
No,
and especially at a time when everything right now is the
So
wokest, serious shit. Somebody like throwing shit into the fan of that is gonna get some traction, and people are gonna, like it. Whether it's not my style of music either,
No, but I'll tell you, honestly,
but I'd love to interview them.
People were blowing up my messenger on Facebook, and it was just crazy.
I bet you ate shit for a week on that, or two, or still probably.
Were they for or against it? How were they blowing it up?
We had, I'd probably say 80-20. About 80% of people were like, "No, this is ridiculous. We need Damn Jam." About 20% were like, "It's the right decision." And some of it were people in that area of Lake Afton that were like, "Thank you." And other, there were three classes of people. One were the people out that way. Others were people that didn't like Wheeler Walker
or fun.
And the other were
fun haters.
With some of our public safety staff that said it's the right decision.
Well, and what was great going into this year, which a lot of people don't know, is I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm really happy they didn't. This is at the end of the podcast, so probably nobody will see it. They didn't get quite 7,000 people plus last year because the security company that was there was not quite adapted and ready for that.
We had to learn that.
They hired, and they're hiring Best this year, best, and which is the best security company that we have to offer for events here in this area. So they're making some adjustments too as well. I mean, and they got close to 4,000 people last year.
We were telling them from backstage, like, you might want to shut that gate.
Well, they had a bunch of, it was more of a company with more young kids. When you have a big festival like that, you need a company with the old road dogs,
a couple seasoned professionals.
Yes, people that have been around these festivals for a long time, because and why you took your vote seriously. Having a giant festival in your town or right outside your town is a serious matter. There's a lot of issues that come with that. And so you have to make sure that the city can handle it, and everybody can handle it. Yeah. But I just hated to see it move from Lake Afton, because I kind of grew up at Lake Afton. Our family used to rent buildings out there all the time for our Christmases and shit. Because it's easier than destroying one of your own houses. And it's easier to clean up. You just all show up out there.
Destroy the public property.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not destroy it, but it's not dirty as shit. You're cooking in their kitchen, and really, even from the very jump street, Lake Afton had 3 buildings with full kitchens and full amenities and bathrooms, and where you could rent out your family. We did Easter out there.
That's great, man.
Well, we did Easter out there because there's a big property around where you were at, and you can hide eggs for the kids and all that stuff. So I wanted to see Lake Afton keep that. I was a little sad to see it go.
I get it. And again, this kind of comes back into my purview is what's the county's role with parks and rec and things like that. It's not our purview. I mean, we do so much public safety that we have to deplete resources in order to do that. It shouldn't even be in our role. I will tell you that what influenced part of the vote on Lake Afton was the knowledge that Damn Jam had a home somewhere else. They were going to get home somewhere else.
Well,
the community wasn't going to lose Damn.
And you guys had to be looking at that lineup going, they're going to get 7,000 to 10,000.
Oh, it's legit. Yeah.
What killed me was the media reaction. Media immediately comes out, it's canceled, everybody.
Well, what's funny,
it's just over.
The media reaction was my funniest thing, because the media bastardizes our podcast. They're not going to talk to us.
But they called us,
and they called us instantly because they know we're a part of it.
Kate called him.
Yeah, they both they went it to us, and we're like, we're not going to say anything. We're a sponsor of ours, and I know, working with those people, that show ain't stopping.
They were going to figure it out. And we knew that. And again, man, it wasn't about
I didn't think it was some vindictive thing after.
I know Commissioner Dennis did have. There was some concerns, but the conversation was that's a policy conversation.
Well, I don't think we were going to get his vote no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, that's his district too, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
He has to hear from a lot of other
people.
I
mean, I guarantee he probably voted no for it the year before. So, I mean,
he might have.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, if we go back from this public record, we can go back and look if we wanted to. But I'm sure we were fighting uphill battles with him the year before that.
Yeah, but Damn Jam's happening. We knew it was going to happen.
And it's happening still in Sedgwick County.
Yeah, man. And we were going to listen. And with CJ and their group and a lot of the people, the meeting started about a week later about how do we figure this thing out. And we knew we were going to land it in Sedgwick County. And I'm glad for it, man. These things are important. It's important to this community, to the vitality. You don't want to go. You don't like what Wheeler walk away. Don't go. Don't go.
It really is that simple. And we don't have to always have a family friendly event.
Come on, it's fine.
We're not all.
Well, this event was never ever like
to be that.
Like, hey, bring your kids out.
Funny story though. There's a funny story though. So you're talking about best security, and I gotta tell this story. I get in trouble.
No, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. Nobody watches this show.
So during the public comment, when they're there contending for it, one of the best security guys was taught, and he also says, well, we also do security at Trust Bank Arena. So we're listening, we're open-minded, and we're trying to figure this out and try to find, and he says, and we have no problem with people smoking pot in Trust Bank Arena. And Snoop Dogg came, and
holy shit.
And we're sitting there, and my phone
led with that.
Literally.
And your phone's going,
well, remember, Trust Bank Arena is a county property.
Yeah.
And smoking pot is illegal. And
well, somewhat decriminalized if you talk to depending on who you talk to. I mean, Whipple said he wasn't going to prosecute anybody.
Now that was Whipple. We got Woo. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that's.
But the point being is,
give us the inside track on that here in a minute, Ryan. We need that too.
I can give you some of that. He says that, right? And my phone, all of a sudden I look down, it's going bing, bing.
Oh,
bing,
I bet.
And staff and people are like, what is he saying? Like, what's it? He says, please clarify his role. So I said, sir, can you?
I feel like you guys gave him a rumplements before he went up.
Can you clarify? Do you work for Sedgwick County government? Like, are you no, I'm a contractor, yada, yada. But he literally came up in front of us and said, don't worry about security. We let him smoke pot in Trust Bank Arena. And I'm like, we're not, you shouldn't say that. Don't say that.
Well, especially if you're part of the, and not to use their name, but if you're part of the best security company that everybody trusts,
and you're in front of the county commission contending why the county should approve something, and you're saying, but we let them smoke pot
in downtown Wichita
in your building in Pest Management,
and the building that the building that the government owns that we all voted to have built in this town. And I voted yes for that.
Yeah, we're security, but if they only have one gun and some weed, I mean,
it was.
We've actually stopped patting down half of the people.
And that guy was cool, and I know what he was trying to say.
Yeah, he was trying to make a point. He was trying to make a point. They got bigger fish to fry.
But he was making a lot of points, and some of his points were incredibly valid. But my phone, man, the second he said it, I was like, oh no, don't say that. I looked at CJ's face, and she kind of put her head because it wasn't.
Well, sometimes people don't know that, but sometimes people don't know when we get what you mean, but he was doing his best. So man, he was contending for what he really wanted, and a lot of people in this community wanted this festival. It means a lot, and it means a lot to a lot of people, and it's going to happen, and it should happen. Well, I'm glad you're still behind it. I knew it was going to happen no matter what. It was a shock for me that day when I get Cake trying to blow my phone up, and I couldn't get, and they're like, hey, what happened with the Dam Jam? I'm like I fucking know. I was involved.
Oh, you don't watch commission meetings?
Yeah. Well, I knew right after that the county commission had voted no, because me and
I watched that one.
Well, because we are involved in the monthly meetings that go down with the Dam Jam crew. They've really brought us in as part of their team. We live podcast on location there for the pretty much for now. We're going to the second one, so we'll be at every
bring
one.
out a big teepee, and
it's great. Man.
We got a giant,
and they're great. They're organized. They're great, man, and they want so badly for this to be a big deal for this community.
I do too, and they're smart enough to know that festivals are eat shit for 3 years, and hopefully you get it all sorted out. And I told them, I was like, I think they should have, even though they brought it to, and I get why they kept the Dam Jam part of it and brought it, because there's a dam at Lake Afton, and they try to keep some recognition, because when you built a brand, if you can move a brand, you can bring 20% of anybody. You already got some built-in economy there. I get it, but now it's time to fucking almost rebrand that shit, because we ain't gonna
add the N at the end. Yeah, add the
Dam Jam.
Dam Jam.
There it is.
Well, now where they're having,
I ain't mad at that at all.
It's like Woodstock now, man, where they've got the Saints. It'd be like Woodstock. It'd be cool. We'll be out there. We'll be running around out there with friends.
I'm really looking forward to Elsewhere Fest.
Oh yeah, have you seen any of that? Okay, so Elsewhere Fest, Midtopia.
Do I have to vote on this thing?
No, you don't.
Okay, good.
Okay, well maybe.
Just blindly.
So you might. Dude, I almost guarantee you do have to vote.
Where's it happening? Where's it at?
All up and down St. Francis Street.
Waves, Norton's, Barleycorns, and Napster.
Nabby City, Wichita.
So okay, so but
you're off the hook. It's fine.
No, I don't distrust your voting abilities. But
and it's Coke money, so Wichita has to say yes.
So that's the big, and it's funny that he brings that up, because that's the big rub on this one.
Right,
that's the big rub on this one. Midtopia is funded, and some of the wave is funded by Coke.
I get it, man.
Well, guess what? A lot of this town is funded by fucking Coke, and a lot of their tax money helps a lot.
Okay, so that's
funny to me.
They employ 2,000 people in this community, but let's strip out the politics of it and say, hey, this action, is this a big deal for this community? A music festival?
100%.
Yes, man. So thank you for investing into this.
Thank you.
That is it. Whether you agree with their politics or what they've done or whatever they do at those weird buildings they got over on the highway, it doesn't matter to us as long as
Castle.
I don't know what they got going on over there, and I ain't trying to go in and see. To tell you the truth, I don't care.
So I researched this out a little bit. Okay.
Oh shit.
So Midtopia is a 501c4, which means that they're a nonprofit that can contribute to social change, political campaigns, etc. Right. So that means that any money that they brought in from the Koch Foundation, from Chase Koch Foundation, that's who does it. They can't even get a tax break on it because it's going to a 501c4 instead of a 501c3 that you could do. So
you don't get the right.
So there is absolutely no benefit to the Koch organization for doing this festival.
No, they
other than the fact they give a little bit of a shit about the music community
and its optics. It's good optics.
Okay. Chase Koch does.
He does.
Cares
he does.
deeply about the music and the
he's the one that's in the band, right?
Yeah. He plays with Rudy in Tula.
Yeah, he's in Tula.
So what this community needs is more civility and less partisanship.
It's the largest festival Wichita's ever seen.
Come on,
and there's so much bullshit.
And it's their first year.
Yeah.
So let's thank you for investing, and you're putting the money up for this.
And you're putting it in downtown. Yeah, put it in downtown Wichita.
Ideal? Yeah.
Well, and again, it's a little bit. I mean, we get to talk. It gives us great talking points for a show like this. But like to me, when something like that comes out, and we got to deal with maybe 1,000 people bitching about Koch's involved or where it's at or whatever, that means we're doing something right, because that means there's 60,000 plus people that went, this is the shit, because those people don't say nothing. The people that say something is the people that the people that like to bitch about, what do you call them?
Bitchitons.
There it is.
They are bitchitons.
Wichita. But I think that is that's a small, and I know you're getting, what time you got to get out of here?
No, you're good, bud. We got.
All right.
You got 5.
So what's up? Have you had Mayor Wu in? Have you had the conversation?
Yeah, can you bridge that gap for it? Bridge that gap for us?
Put it together.
Yeah, we would love to.
Yeah, we work together quite a bit. And this conversation about shared services, functional consolidation, all this stuff, she and I are working together on this. She wants to see this.
And when the Aaron and Austin show is completely involved in the community, we got to be in the St. Patty's Day Parade this year. Where we try to be live on location for a bunch of small businesses here, and anything we can do to spread awareness for the community, because there's a lot of people that get a big disconnect from our politicians in this town. They just see them as a name that they pass by on a thing on the side of the street. They don't really, you guys get really short time to introduce yourself to the community, and that's where we come in again. I mean, it's normally not our lane, but I would love it to be a little bit of our lane. And he's not a huge politician, but we love him still.
But I think politicians get lumped into everything that politicians
have
ever done.
Sure.
Well, what happens is we look at what's happening on the federal level and federal legislators and federal senators, and we look at that and we overlay that into what's happening on the local level.
Right.
And that's not, man, what's happening on the federal level is not what's happening here. Like,
no, it's not.
Like, what the great thing about local government and local is, I can come into a podcast. You'll see me at the grocery store. We'll go have a cup of coffee. We'll go grab a beer. Like,
well, and that's another thing great about Kansas.
That's the beautiful thing about local politics. Yeah. All government decisions that really impact our lives happen on the local level.
Well, and what I hope to do with our show and giving you guys a platform is letting you know you're just real people in this community too.
That's good, man.
Real people in this community too that have real interests, that have families, have kids, and and a lot of people need to understand why you vote the way you do and see the things the way you say. They don't know that you get the numbers that you get. They have no fucking idea. They make wild accusations and then just blow your shit up.
Well, and even watching that commission meeting, man, it seemed like Easter was up there saying, "No, man, we got it handled." But the EMS piece, that totally makes sense.
The thing to me is, I know that a lot of our EMSs and a lot of our, and you know the numbers, and I know them as well. We swallow over almost 1 million people in this town during the workday. Right. So I know that if we put all hands on deck, the EMS and the sheriff's department can handle it. It's just going to cost them a lot of fucking money.
A lot of money, a lot of overtime.
And really, we're not talking about we can't. It's not really that we can't. We don't. I know the manpower is low. It's really that we can't have the manpower. It's really that we can't afford all the overtime.
In regard, that's part of it. But what you just said with Sheriff Easter, he literally said, "Hey," and he'll do. Listen, he's going to take it from a policy directive from the commission. Yep. And Chef Easter, man, he's a real deal. I mean,
that's a good sheriff.
He's a real deal, and he said, "You want it, we'll make it happen." But I can't guarantee that we won't be able to back
unless you let me put half my other staff on fucking overtime, which is going to cost you guys it's going to cost
it's going to
county.
But remember, those guys are on overtime all the time.
And the dudes that go to the that go to events, a lot of people don't realize when you subsequent police department or the sheriffs or anybody at them time, they're making like double time and a half at them events.
Man. Oh, yeah.
So it's great for them guys, and it's a little bit of a strain on your community and a little bit of strain on the budget. But can I ask, is there ever kickbacks from the event owners to make that work? How does that work?
That's what I would say.
So the conversation in the contract, the original contract with Diaper Jam, is they were going to give us an upfront sum of money, and it was like $25,000 to basically reimburse the county for all the public safety and the use of the
I wondered if there was a
big number.
Well, if it had to be some part of that in the festival, I never I said, I've never drawn up a festival contract.
Again,
I don't know that part.
The issue wasn't anything to do with financial on the Diaper Jam. It was completely 100% about depleting resources from the core.
That makes sense.
If it was Sedgwick County Park, it probably would have been a conversation, because
Sedgwick County Park would have been a beautiful place to have it.
Yeah, but because it was 25 miles away from the core of the city, from the city of Wichita.
Damn, dude, how do I convince CJ to have that at Sedgwick County Park?
No, right?
let's give it a couple years.
Well, Sedgwick County Park is a beautiful fucking place.
It's great.
I mean, they took over the Renaissance Festival from Kansas Newman College that did it for years and years and years, and they handled that really well. I think it would be a beautiful place to just shut that fucker down and have Diaper Jam blow that roof off that place.
Cool.
It'd be pretty cool. I mean, I live a block away, so it'd be real easy for me to move all our equipment.
Walk right over, yeah.
Your motivations are clear.
Yeah. Hey. Now I can be a county commissioner. But anyway, is there anything? So how often do you have to get reelected? When we get
4-year terms, man.
All right.
Yeah,
so anything you want to tell anybody before we get out of here? We can shut this down. You get a few minutes, and
we're on the same page when it comes to modernizing local government. We have some incredible opportunities to do exactly that. We got some challenges. Cost of government, property taxes have been increased, and I'm doing my best. We lowered the mill levy for the first time since 2015 last year at the county. But we're only 20% of your property tax bill. So the school districts, the cities, all of them, that's a big piece. We have a mental health, behavioral health crisis in this community. I'm working on
that's a national thing.
The homelessness conversation. I'll come back sometime. We'll talk homelessness. It's something that's incredibly important
for sure.
And we're making progress, but it's a long haul, man, and it's hard. But we're going to push through the hard.
What do you need from the community?
Man, we need awareness, frankly. We need people to engage. What typically happens from the communities are apathetic. Engage. But as they engage, what we need is electeds and leadership to engage back. And that's why I'm so appreciative. I'll take any speaking engagement. I'll take any, because I want to be able to engage and make these issues aware so that we can get the feedback and we're collectively moving in the same direction.
Yeah,
so Aaron and Austin City Council.
Yeah, well, it just takes conversations of all types of everyone coming together and understanding everybody's angle.
That's it.
I mean, the thing is, everybody's angle is valid, and everybody's angle has a percentage of what we need to do to make it right. And we really, and if we work together, the synergy thing that we need to do, working together, we can save not only this city and this county a fucking ton of money, we can actually do shit that moves us progressively in the right direction.
That's it, bro.
Starts to change some of those systems.
So let's call it in that. Ryan, I really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah.
Ryan Baty's family's been a fucking great part of the Sedgwick County community for a long time. I grew up with their family. I love these guys. Their dad's awesome. If you've ever bowled in this town, his dad, you probably bowled at his dad's places. Him and his brother were absolutely great fucking baseball players, and it was annoying as shit growing up with them. But not for Ryan, because at least he went to Northwest. Because your brother ended up going to Mays.
He's Mays kid,
he ended up going to Mays. But you was still a Northwest. We're still a Grizzly. So we appreciate everything you do. I would love to have more of these conversations. I think you are a great fucking interview for backseat therapy too as well. I hope to get you guys together on that for sure, because there's a ton of foster talk there that you guys can really get into. And Orphan John and Aaron do a great job about it, and you seem to know a ton about it, so that's going to be fun. So shout out to everything that's going on here, and also get with us. Ryan, thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.